I usually say something different when he asks me how I'm doing, but it'd be nice today and say something nice. So, usually this morning, how you doing, Robin? Usually I'm fired up, pissed off at cancer.
All righty.
That was nice.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining Not Done Yet. This is Tom Sellers. I'm your host with my co-host, Robbie Robinson. Robbie, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. As usually, I am fired up and highly agitated at
What?
cancer today.
Are you being nice because
Yes, I'm
we
trying
have
to be
a
nice,
female
yes.
in here?
Yes.
Look at you.
My 3 daughters and wife have trained me well. So
How about that? Well, we are glad to see you. We are sorry we did not see you last week. We had some scheduling conflicts.
Yep.
I hope you enjoyed our replay from one of our previous episodes, but we are here now and we are ready to go. And we have a guest we've been looking forward to
Yes.
talking with for a while. And Robbie, I'm going to leave you the honors and let's get this thing going.
Yes, we are glad to have with us today Jessica Miller, who is the Senior Communications Manager for Make-A-Wish, Illinois. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I'm glad you made it. I really wanted to talk about Make-A-Wish. The hospital that Tom and I went to, we do not deal with patients under 18,
Okay.
but children cancer is a big issue with a lot of people. Anytime a child is touched with it, it just pulls on the heartstrings. I mean, anybody having cancer is rough, but anytime children have it, it's pretty bad to watch and go through and be a participant in that family. And so we were glad that Make-A-Wish decided that you would come on with us and explain to us a little bit. I think a lot of people want to know, what is Make-A-Wish about? What exactly do you do? How do you qualify? All those good things that a lot of people maybe just don't know about Make-A-Wish. Make-A-Wish is not just in Illinois. You are associated with Make-A-Wish Illinois, but it's a national?
We're national and international. We're worldwide
Okay.
organization, and our mission is the same around the world. We create life-changing wishes for children with critical illnesses.
So it's not just children with cancer. Do you know offhand the percentage of your participants have cancer?
Yeah, I would say it's the majority, so it's well over 50%.
Wow.
But more than 150 different conditions would qualify. We also serve children who have muscular dystrophy or cystic fibrosis or organ transplants.
Are most of these illnesses considered terminal, or are they just very critical, not just like a normal chronic situation, like
Right.
asthma or something like that?
Right, they're critical and life-threatening, so it is very serious. Typically, something that is progressive,
Okay, yeah,
Sure,
and puts a child's life in jeopardy.
And let's, if you wouldn't mind, I know most of our audience have heard of Make-A-Wish. If you would, just spend a minute, tell us how you guys got started, give us a little background, who you look for to help and things like that.
I'd be delighted to.
And Phil Nosarino says hi. Hi, Phil.
Hi, Phil.
Glad you're here.
So Make-A-Wish started in 1980. There was a boy named Chris, and he had leukemia. So it started with a boy with leukemia, and he was in the hospital for a long time. His mom was looking for a way to cheer him up, and she was friends with some law enforcement folks in Arizona. And Chris decided that he wanted to be, now remember, this is 1980, Chips, the TV show, was very popular. He wanted to be a motorcycle trooper. And
cool.
so a lovely group of about 6 folks got together to make that happen. They got a great uniform. They flew him around in a helicopter. They drove him around in the squad car. And so it was really impactful for him and for his mom as well. Chris did progress in his illness, and when he got really ill, he asked to have the uniform hanged in his hospital room so he could look at it and remember the experience that he had.
Yes.
And so when he passed away, he got the full Arizona State Trooper Honors Guard for burial.
Kidding.
And they drove.
That is neat.
He was actually from Illinois originally, and so they drove all the way to Illinois, and he's buried
no
here in
kidding.
Illinois. So after Chris passed, Chris's mom and those folks that helped decided that they would love to honor Chris's memory by creating more experiences for kids like Chris. And so that's how Make-A-Wish was born, just about 40 years ago in April.
So they saw the impact it made on Chris's life and their lives and wanted to extend that. So Chris's legacy now continues because of that.
Incredibly, nearly 500,000 kids around the world have experienced a
benefited.
wish. And so you
That's
know,
a huge number.
it's a huge number. They started it as small and they did a couple wishes a year. And then, of course, the national news picked it up and everyone's like, well, I want to do something for a sick kid. And it wasn't just the impact in that experience for Chris, but his mom was really moved by it. The people who were involved in granting it felt that their lives were enriched by being a part of it. And so it continues.
Yeah, we've found that when you do for others, your life becomes much better.
When you do good, you feel good,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. One of the things that I noticed when I was looking through some of the material about Make-A-Wish was how you talk so much about hope and what it means to these kids. Explain that a little bit, how that concept of hope helps inspire these children.
So we talked a little bit about Chris and how, just looking at his uniform gave him a boost. And over the years, we had heard from families how much the Wish meant to them. It gave kids a little motivation to get through a tough time. It gave parents a chance to see their kids enjoying childhood things that they should be doing. So all of these things, yeah, exactly. And so when a diagnosis comes about, all of that typically can come to a screeching halt for a while. And so this is just a catalyst to remember those things. So we had known that anecdotally over the years. In the last 10 or so years, there have been some research studies done on the impacts of a wish. And we're finding more and more that it does the psychosocial benefits are something that really help with the physical benefits.
Yes.
So, having some hope and building resilience helps a child get through the medical things that they need to. They're more compliant, they have more energy, they work on their strength because they have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
It's, they're looking forward to something positive, and not necessarily the next blood draw or surgery.
I think that's neat that it inspires them to want to do the medicine, because I can imagine, I know as adults, we hate to do that chemo and that radiation and the operations and all that. And so I can imagine how much a child does not want to do that again.
Yeah.
And to have something like this ahead of them gives them some hope and some inspiration to keep fighting.
Yeah, there's that. And then what we found as we're just, learning about these things are the medical professionals that we work with say, you know what, it helps us relate to children and their families on a different level. I'm not the one they come to see for a blood draw. They can come tell me about their wish, and it's something I can do. I can refer them for a wish, and that's something good I can give them instead of always giving them bad news. I can give them a little bit of good news.
I saw one of the things it talked about was that you're talking about it being on the medical side, that doctors are now thinking of incorporating these wish gifts in the treatment plan, basically.
Yeah, so we look at a wish as a full experience, a full journey. Once you are introduced to Make-A-Wish, there are many milestones along the way where we can have an impact on how you are feeling emotionally and all of those types of things. So doctors have started incorporating a wish into their treatment plans because they do have these little moments throughout the wish. It's not just the one-time thing. There is a lasting impact. It's a thing that they can draw on. I talked to a mom sometime last year, and she was telling me about her son has to go for brain scans pretty regularly. He had a brain tumor, and he did not like the machinery that he had to be in. And
brought up bad memories.
It brought up bad memories. And so after his wish, she asked him, she's like, well, what do you think about when you're in there? And he's like, I think about when I'm on the beach in Hawaii, and that was my wish. And I just go back to the beach and think about that. And then the next thing I know, the scan is over. And so those stories are things that are really important because it's not just that moment in time.
It's not just that one time.
He draws on that.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
And jumping in here real quick, we want to say hello to Peter Gall. Peter, thanks for joining us. And Deb Reynolds, who says hello, everyone.
Hi, Deb.
Now, I know Deb has some pretty strong news she'd like to share with us because I've seen her post this week. So, Deb, tell everybody what happened this week.
She's got some good news. She does. Got some clear scans.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Cancer-free, I think she was actually.
That is the word I recall.
Which we love hearing that.
Yeah, for sure.
So going, and just jumping in for a second, I completely understand the ability for a child to see a wish and have it manifested. I'm sure for at least a period of time, it takes their mind off of what they're going through. And, I know, what many of us have gone through with cancer. I can't imagine what a child would have to go through to experience the same thing. So tell me, if you would, you've alluded to it a little bit, but I'd like you to drill down a little farther, if you would, what that whole experience does for them in terms of how now they approach the treatment, or maybe after the treatment, how that kind of played into making it a little more manageable.
Sure. So, we talked about the brain scans, but a lot of kids, when you're looking at a wish, a lot of our wishes are travel related. More than 75% are travel related. And so being well enough to travel is a goal in
First of all,
itself.
yes,
right.
You're counting your levels every day. You're making sure you're taking all of your medicine. We have a kid who worked on his swimming. He took swimming lessons while he was sick because he wanted to swim with dolphins on his wish. And so those are things that, you never thought would be related to a wish, but they do end up happening. And one other thing that I've found over the years in talking with families is that, like anyone probably with an illness, you don't want to just be known for your illness. So a kid at school does not, they get this diagnosis, they don't want to be known as the sick
Will
kid.
be defined as that.
Right. And so this gives them some other way to relate, yeah, I was sick, but guess what I'm doing?
Yeah.
I'm going to have dinner with the
I got the
princesses.
coolest thing coming up, right?
Yeah, exactly. And so they have something else to talk about.
Right.
And this kind of relates to also the volunteers who work with our families. They, a lot of them make lifelong friendships. So you're kind of building your circle of support, and the volunteers are very invested in making sure the kids are happy and they get to be friends with the parents. And so that is another support system that they're building.
Yeah, they can add on to that.
Yeah.
What's the average time frame, if there is one, between a child says, okay, I want to do this, and Make-A-Wish says, okay, we're going to do this for you? Is there, or does it depend on the child's condition at the time? Because, what's that process from that child going, hey, I want to do this, until where they actually get to do that?
Yeah, so I would say on average it's 6 to 12 months to grant a wish fully, to go through the entire wish journey from referral to welcoming you to the alumni family. But if a child is very ill and we're talking with the doctors and they want to do it right away, maybe before surgery, or maybe their prognosis is not very good, we've done wishes in 24 hours. So
depends on the condition of the child at the
Exactly.
time, really.
And
how long
also
it
what
can
they
go out.
wish for. So
some
some
certain
things
things take longer to
we
get
can
done,
do right away.
or
other
that
things-
event may not be happening that they want to do for 6 months.
Right. National sporting events, we can't
Exactly,
do those.
right.
Celebrities are sometimes tricky to book if they're
Yeah.
traveling and working on projects or whatever. So, but
Well, I can see how that could inspire that child to want to do better, to keep fighting and doing all the things you have to do to beat whatever it is their illness is.
Yeah.
You said there's probably a little over 150 critical illnesses is how you phrase it.
yeah.
And because I asked you off camera, what determines how does the child that just has what's the difference in a chronic illness, which is something like asthma or something like that, you say,
Right.
as opposed to what you guys refer to as a critical illness
Yeah.
or life-threatening.
So we work, the medical professional that is treating the child determines if the child has a critical illness. So we don't decide that. But basically what we're looking for is something that's put the child's life in jeopardy
Sure.
at the time of referral. So it's pretty serious. It is not something to trifle with. And typically, children can either be cured or learn to live in a new way with a critical illness. But we are talking very serious things. And,
Sure.
and unfortunately, we do occasionally have to deal with a child who does not make it to their wish due to their illness.
Yeah. That's got to be the hard part of it.
We've got breaking news here. Look at me.
This just in.
This just in. I asked Debbie Deb Reynolds to go ahead and share her news, and here is what she has to say. Those of you in the audience and those of us here, let's join in a round of applause because Deb says, yes, I'm cancer-free after 2.5 years, non-small cell lung cancer, stage 4 with brain mets. I'm not supposed to be here, but I'm not done yet.
Gotta give you a hit. That's going, Deb.
There you go, Deb. You are a warrior.
Great news.
You're one heck of a cancer slayer. We've told you that before. We
Absolutely.
like to call ourselves cancer
And a
slayers.
great inspiration.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Just
It can happen.
it can happen. Exactly. We want people to know that just because you have a critical illness, yes, it may be life-threatening, but there's no, until that moment, none of us know for sure. As we've all seen people, we're a very endurable species and we can outlive a lot of things. So you just never know, and I think Make-A-Wish is a wonderful way of getting that hope out there. I talked to you a little bit about that, about what exactly is hope. And to me, I've said it, that hope is just the thought that I believe tomorrow's going to be better than today. So I'm going to do everything I can today to be here for tomorrow. And boy, when a child looks at it and says, hey, I want to do this, I want to swim with the dolphins, I want to do that, that's giving that child a lot of hope.
Yeah.
That if I can just get through this, I can do that.
Right, and wishes include the whole family. So it's not just one thing for one kid.
So you don't just send the child.
Right. We send the immediate family,
Yeah.
if they're traveling or through whatever experience, we definitely try and include siblings as much as possible, and parents, because the whole family's been interrupted
Yeah.
by the diagnosis, and it is healing for the whole family to remember what it's like to be a family again. Kids with cancer, their families get fractured because maybe mom has to be at the hospital with the child who's ill and dad has to take care of the kids who are at home.
Or the
So,
brothers and sisters don't get the attention they deserve
Right.
because of, I've said a lot of times about kids when an adult has the cancer, a lot of times children get overlooked in this situation because you're so focused on what the adult's going through. You forget that it's affecting these kids. And they don't even have it. It's their parent or their uncle or somebody like that has it. And I just can't imagine the child themselves having it.
Yeah.
And what an ordeal. I know that family we had on once before, he had 2 or 3 brothers and a sister, Jacob. And he was on here with 2 of his brothers, and they were all talking about how it affected them. They were 5-year-old, 7-year-old, 9-year-old boys, and how him going through that, the middle one, affected all of them.
right, life changes for everyone.
Life changes for everybody. And when you can get something like this and get a little hope and maybe get to do something as a family where you're not so focused on dealing with the critical illness that you're going through, just imagine the smiles and the joy. Like you said, the long lasting effect of it, for that child having that memory of doing that and inspiring that child to keep fighting and
Yeah.
sharing that story.
Yeah, and another thing that is interesting, I find, you get a diagnosis like that, and your life is kind of under the control of whatever the doctor says, right? You have to go to this appointment or have this surgery or whatever. A wish gives a kid a chance to take control of something in their
Yes,
lives. They
yes.
get to choose what they want. It's really whatever the kid wants within some parameters, of
Yeah.
course. So they get to choose what's important to them. A lot, we've had kids tell us, well, I wanted to do a family vacation because my family got me through this and I want to give something back to them. And it's like, well, okay, you're going through this horrible thing and you're thinking about all these people
Yes, yeah.
around you.
Plus, it's wonderful. Financially can be devastating to a family
Absolutely.
who has a child that has a critical illness. It doesn't have to be cancer, just any critical illness can be very devastating financially to a family. A lot of times, if both were working, parents both can't anymore.
Right.
And it's very hard. So I imagine not being able to do things because of finances. And then this comes along and helps them do that without having to worry about interrupting our money flow, or we're going to have to take money to do this or that. What are some of the, if you can, what are some of the funniest or craziest wishes that you think you've heard about? Or can you
Well,
talk about that?
Sure. I mean,
Yeah, and some of the
Because
some of the
kids.
ones, and some of the, if you don't mind, because that was kind of where I was going with the next question. Give us an example of what kids have been able to be, the wishes that were granted.
Sure. I know a lot of people associate Make-A-Wish with Disney, and it's true. It's true about like 60% of all wishes are Disney
That's where you wanna
related.
go.
Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise, Aulani in Hawaii. So that's true because princesses and superheroes and all of that is great. So, but we do have a lot of kids who are really interesting, who want to be the superhero, and so we have staged full scale events throughout the country, but you know, myself personally have been involved in the city where we have the Chicago Police Department and Fire Department, and we've closed off Navy Pier and like had a child in a motorcade who is a superhero and saving the world from villains, and it's like this big production thing. And so we've done that a few times, and that's always fun. Yeah, we've had wishes for kids who want to be rock stars, and so we've staged little concerts for them.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, so they could perform.
I want to do stuff like that.
Yeah, all kinds of things. You know, a sweet one we did a few years ago that I like, the little girl had cancer and was not able to go to the splash pad in her town because she, you know, could not be around other kids. And so she wished for her own backyard splash pad. And I was like, wow, I don't know if we can do that. But our team came together and made it happen. They were able to scale one down for her yard. And so she and her cousins could play in the yard while she was going through it. And it was really, you know, if a kid can think it up, we will do our best.
Kids have very good imagination, so I can only imagine some of the things they've asked for.
I mean, we did a great thing. We worked with Snap-on to do a garage makeover for this teenage boy. He was 16, and his goal in life was to work on cars. And so we worked with Snap-on to like do a really cool garage makeover for him. And they brought in all the tools, and they put in like some great, you know, shelving and, you know, all kinds of different things that you can think of. My personal favorite, we had a girl who wanted to record a CD, and she was a really great singer, and her wish granters were incredible. Wish granters are volunteers, and they knew someone who was affiliated with the house orchestra for Wicked. When it was in Chicago, and so we got Chicago Recording Studio to host us, and the orchestra from Wicked came, and she recorded some songs.
They played for her
from Wicked, so it was really incredible because it was just like all of these professional, high quality musicians came in and donated their time. Sure. The recording studio donated their time, and you know, we do it up. She came in a limo. She had a green room. She had a hotel suite for that night. So it was a great, incredible. It impacted me. I wonder if those musicians ever think about how they granted her wish. Yeah,
because it's just, you know, when you do something, so the effort is so low compared to the reward that you get when you do something for others. And I'm sure they felt wonderful about being able to do that for somebody. That's amazing that you get that many people involved in that wish for that child.
Yeah, it's really great.
You said usually police departments, fire departments, and those will more happy to work with.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and sometimes some villages will do an escort to the village city limits when the limo's leaving to the airport, or they'll welcome a child home, so it's really fun.
I know. So we were talking about the hope. Just one more thing I wanted to touch on. Some of the statistics on that real quick. 81% of wish parents observed an increased willingness, and Jessica talked about this, in their child to comply with treatments. You're getting blood draws. As an adult, I'd start getting sick to my stomach just driving to the hospital. Yeah. Just because my body and mind knew what was going to happen. And so I can only imagine what a child's mind goes through at those times going to there. And then being willing, because of that wish, to go ahead and take these treatments and the therapy that they have to go through. 89% of healthcare professionals surveyed say they believe that the wish experience can influence wish kids' physical health. It can make them feel better, and they'll actually fight to be better because of it.
Yeah, and there's a more recent study out of Nationwide Children's Hospital of Ohio that compared kids who had wishes to kids who did not. Yeah. And kids who had wishes had fewer unplanned hospital visits and less emergency department
didn't have that visits on their agenda.
Right. So that's some really intriguing information.
Yeah, and like you said, it was done on a study where there kids that weren't getting that were studied as opposed to kids that were. Neither group knew they were being studied, more than likely, and they had better results with kids that had to make a wish than one that didn't.
And I would guess, I mean, even as adults, if we have something we're looking forward to, sometimes we overlook some of the drudgery or the discomfort, perhaps.
Maybe some more minor things don't get as much attention.
Right, that we'll focus on that thing coming up more than that thing going on right now.
Yeah. So I think it's, we've always said, we'll let the doctors heal the body and we will work to heal the spirit.
Sure, the mind and spirit.
Yeah. and they have to work together.
They have to work together. We talk about at the hospital all the time about treating the mind, body, and the spirit, because if all those are trying to be healthy together, you're gonna have a better outcome.
So before we go to break, we have about 5 minutes before we're gonna say thank you to some of our sponsors.
No, the time's going too fast.
It's what it does. It's what it does. So Jessica, give us a kind of a quick rule of thumb. What children are eligible for your program?
Ages and stuff like that.
Sure. So to qualify for a wish, a child should be between the ages of 2.5 and referred before their 18th birthday. So 17 and 11 months. Don't wait until they're 18, then
Yeah.
we will not be able to grant them a wish.
Do they contact, anybody can contact Make-A-Wish who has a child between 2.5 and 18
Right, with a critical
with a
illness.
critical illness?
Yeah, right on our website, illinois.wish.org, there's a button to refer a child, and there's more information there as well,
Yeah.
some more in-depth information. But
We'll-
there's a
we'll get
quick form to go through.
Okay, we'll get all that up
Yeah,
later today. So yeah, I was gonna ask about referring a child. First of all, they have to have a critical illness that qualifies under one of those 150
Yeah.
different ones.
Mhm.
Well, that's a lot of illnesses.
right, right.
Uh,
And so we take that information in, our staff takes that information in, and we also take the treating physician's information in, and then we will reach out
and you start
ourselves
going get
to
home.
the
information from
physician for a diagnosis.
And they can wish for pretty much anything that
much
comes to
anything.
whatever they can
Yeah.
think up.
Yeah, I mean, we are not going to grant a wish that's going to bankrupt our
Right,
organization or put the child in harm's way,
I'd like $1 million, please.
but we will. And if a child says that, then our team will dig in a little bit more. Well, what is it about having $1 million?
Right. What are you
What's
looking
the
to fix
experience?
with that?
Yeah, that you're looking for. Is it just being like a VIP experience that you're looking for? Because we can make that happen. We don't
Sure.
have to give you $1 million to do
To make you
that.
feel like $1 million.
Exactly.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And there's a specific form on the website.
Yes. And so a parent or the child, him or herself, a close family member, would be able to go ahead and start that form. If you're not a family member, we just ask that you talk to the family before you start the referral inquiry information. And there is some information there that only the family's going to know, like
Sure.
the doctor, which doctor they're
Right.
seeing, and what's the diagnosis.
So
they have.
another family member or friend can contact you, say, hey, I've got this person
Right.
who's a family member or friend that I think might qualify and could
Exactly.
use it.
Yeah.
And then you guys take over from there and go from there.
Yeah.
And get in touch with the family and the doctors and everything.
Yeah, and then once a child's medically qualified, any child who medically qualifies will be granted a wish. There's no waiting list. We don't pick and choose. We know that we can grant. We know that about 1,200 kids every year in Illinois are diagnosed with an illness that would qualify them. But
Every year that many are qualified for. it.
well, every year that's the
Roughly,
potential.
yeah.
We're granting just over 700 wishes a year, so we know that we're missing some kids.
Out of that 1,200 or so, you guys are still
Yeah.
granting 700 wishes.
Yeah.
Wow.
But we want to grant every one of them.
That's a big number.
It is. The only way we can do it is with volunteers.
And,
Alrighty.
where does the cash come from to do all of this?
Individuals, donations, foundations, corporate foundations. Yeah.
Okay, we'll get into that in ways to
Yeah,
donate.
We're gonna say thank you to some of our sponsors, and when we come back, let's go a little farther into how the referral process works, and again, how people who are interested in helping out, i.e. donating time, money, or resources, how we can get them involved as well. So let's talk about, and it's that time of year, folks. Go see my friend Eric Mason over at Mobile Accounting. He is at 224-321-6859, and he is with www.mobile.tax. Experience, education, character, and inherent ability with numbers. An exceptional CPA. These are the reasons why business owners choose Eric Mason of Mobile Accounting for their bookkeeping, payroll, and tax services. Mobile Accounting, 224-321-6859, or at www.mobile.tax. And go over there and say, hey, Eric, happy birthday. Tom sent you. Prime Media Consulting, another big one this time of year, especially if you have a business. Ever wonder why your website is not showing up online where you want it to be? Want to make sure you're found when someone is searching for your kind of business. Prime Media Consulting helps small business owners optimize their exposure on major search engines to transform their businesses. Call Prime Media Consulting at 847-752-0018 or reach out to us at primemediaconsulting.com and learn how they can make your impression on the web. So getting back to where we left off, we were talking about the process of referring somebody, referring a child to your program. My gosh, if you're seeing 1,200 that are eligible and you're fulfilling 700, that's a big number.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's not enough.
No,
And we're going to talk about how we can make it enough, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'm very proud of that though. I mean,
Well-
that's a high,
That's a huge number.
Yes.
That's 3/4.
to actually affect the people that you're doing this for.
Yeah, but we do believe, because we believe so strongly in the power of a wish, we do want to grant a wish for every child with an eligible condition. So.
I don't think I realized the power of that wish. I mean, I've heard about Make-A-Wish and everything, but hearing you explain it more, I didn't realize all the things that just, other than that child, just to get to do that thing for that day, how strongly it impacts that child and that family's life is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, we hear about it. We started an alumni program about 5 years ago, and for our Wish alums, who are now, we've been around here in Illinois since 1985.
Yeah.
So now a lot of them are grown up,
Sure.
and we actually have 2 Wish alums who work on our staff.
Oh, do you really?
So in
That's
our
pretty-
office, and many, many more who are volunteers. And they tell us, that it has stayed with them for so long, and they want to wish it forward. They want
It's
to make
inspired
sure,
them, yeah.
that other
Mhm.
people know about Make-A-Wish and can be a part of the program, either as a volunteer or as a Wish family or as a donor.
I've always said, it can apply to any illness that a child has. If you turn around and help somebody else through this, if nothing else, it gives purpose and value to what you had to go through. As all the suffering that we have to go through, if I can turn around and help somebody else, at least now that has some value to it because I'm helping somebody else because of it. So as they mature and grow up and fortunate enough to live through these conditions, I can see it making a big impact in their life years later in the lives that they influence because of it.
Yeah.
I was reading here, so you get the referral, then you get the medical eligibility from the doctors and everything. Make sure it's one of the qualifying conditions. Then the wish itself, you send somebody out to the home.
We do.
It's a
So,
volunteer, and how do they know what to do when they get there?
we work with our volunteers well before they go to visit a family. They all go through online training, in-person
Okay.
training, and background check. So they're ready to go when they go out to meet a family. They work in teams of 2, and they typically work in the communities where they live. So,
It's more of a
they're
tie
granting
to it,
wishes, in their own communities, and so they know who can help
Mhm.
in some cases or who needs help in some cases. So they are really great at meeting with families, talking
Mhm.
with them, get to know
Yeah.
them. It's not like they just walk in and say, "Hey, what's your wish?"
Yeah.
The first
That's
meeting,
what I mean. There's got to be
the
process
first
to it.
meeting is really just to get to know you. What kinds of things you like. Oh, hey, I went to that school. Oh, I know that person that works where you work. Those kinds of
especially if
things.
they're in the
Yeah.
community, they live in the community.
Yeah, they might
There's gonna
already
be
know
some
each other
ties.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they build a rapport, and then they help the child discover what his or her wish might be. And so we don't just come out and say, "What's your wish?" They'll ask about what kinds of things you like and what do you like to do and what makes you happy and
Sure.
what do you, and we'll get to that,
Yeah,
the heart of the wish.
Yeah, refine
eventually.
that down to
Yeah.
what are we actually going to do for you here?
Right. And it may be to go to Disney, but why do you want to go to Disney? How can we make it special
Sure.
for you? And so maybe it is a private meeting with Minnie Mouse, or
Yeah, anything that's
I want to be a princess at Disney, and so then
make it happen.
we can set up a way to make that happen. Yeah.
I imagine you find pretty much every company that you talk to is willing to do something.
We sure hope so. We offer the opportunity to help
You
to
hear us out
any
there?
company.
Yes.
We meet any person we meet, but there is always a way to be involved. If it's not through direct volunteering, we occasionally reach out to community members for what we call in-kind gifts of goods and services. Cash is always helpful for us to purchase what we need for wishes. So there's a number of ways. Airline miles are incredibly helpful. Like I mentioned, more than 70% of all wishes involve air travel.
Sure.
So airline miles donated to Make-A-Wish are used exclusively for wish families.
I think that's a great way to do it
Yeah.
because a lot of business people have a lot of extra miles that they just don't use.
Well, and even if you're not a business person, maybe you took a trip to California for a nice vacation, and now you have all these miles on an
Miles,
airline
yeah.
you're never going to fly again. We can use them.
What's Wishing Well Monthly Giving Society?
So the Monthly Giving Society is a way that we keep in contact with donors who pledge to give a certain amount of money every month.
Okay.
We love our monthly donors because for a couple of reasons.
Consistent.
It's consistent. It helps us keep a level balance of, there's always money in the wishing well
Yes,
to grant
yeah.
wishes. That's why it's called the
Mhm.
wishing well. But also it helps us cut down on administrative costs. We don't mail them anything. We don't call them. We know that there are donations coming in monthly and
They
it's
make the commitment.
automatic. Yeah. And so it takes less staff time. It takes less
Mhm.
resources. And of course then their donations help grant wishes.
Yeah, I see automobile donations, gifts
Yeah.
of stock.
Yeah, we really will try and turn whatever you have into a wish. I'll tell you that. We do take car donations, car, boat, and RV donations to be exact through another foundation that does it for us called Wheels for Wishes, and then gifts of stock.
Do they sell the vehicles and then use the money to donate? to the
So
gifts?
Wheels for Wishes accepts the donation, and then they do all of the, like they sell it or whatever they do with it, and then they just send us a donation every month for from all the cars that are donated. So we don't actually process the cars.
Right. Somebody else does it.
Yeah, we
And
let
when
the
they get done,
experts
they
do
donate their
that.
money to you guys.
Yes, exactly.
So I'm looking through the paperwork, and there's a couple of things that not only did I not realize, my guess is many in the audience did not realize this either. So I'm gonna hit these points real quick. We've kind of discussed what you do and how you put wishes together.
Yep.
What you didn't discuss is what you don't do. And this, to me, is huge.
Okay.
Okay, so when we're talking about wishes, here is how Make-A-Wish looks at these. We don't choose which children receive wishes. All children who are medically eligible have wishes fulfilled. That's monstrous.
Yeah.
We don't consider the family's financial status for obvious reasons. I mean, an illness, especially with a child, it can wipe you out in no time.
Well, and the other reason we don't is because we can give you things that money can't buy.
Right.
Yeah.
Experiences, the connection to the community, that whole wish journey that we
Sure.
talked about. You can buy yourself a trip to wherever, but when you have a community coming together to create all of these special moments along the way, you can't buy that.
Mhm.
And I find these two to be the ones that drive the nail home, these last two. We don't wish children on a waiting list.
Nope.
We don't make one wish more important than any other. I mean, if you think about those two statements for just a second, again, I probably had the mistaken idea that, okay, there is this process to decide who's going to get a wish, and we've got to put these things together to make it happen. So maybe we do this one first and this one second. But you're saying no, that's not how it works at all.
That's not how it works at all. At any given time, we have, in our office, we have 6 what we call wish experience architects working with our volunteers, and every day they're all working on wishes that could be granted.
Mhm.
And we don't put anything off if we don't, there's no reason that we can, because we are in the fortunate position
Sure.
to live and work in a very generous community. People want to support wishes. They see the impact it's having. We can grant more wishes with more support. So right now we're in a really good spot where we
Sure.
can, the promise of a wish is always there. And then,
Doesn't mean they don't need more money though.
well, that goes back to the wishing well that we
we're gonna
talked
go right
about.
Back to
We
that.
want to make
Yeah.
sure that's clear. They're doing okay, but they can always use more.
But every day, 3 kids are newly diagnosed.
Yeah.
So every day there's more wishes to grant. Every day there's more wishes to grant. And
How
so
many calls do you guys get on average, like in a week, or how does that come about? We know how many get diagnosed a day, but how many people contact you guys a week or a month?
I mean, I don't know that I know all of that. I do know that we have about 80 to 90 qualified kids every month
Wow.
that come through. Yeah. So, we're always running, a little ahead
Sure.
of the number of wishes we're granting, because kids are coming in and wishes are getting granted, when they they need to happen. Maybe someone wants to go on spring break, or maybe someone wants to go to Australia and they want to wait till next winter here, so it's
Sure.
summer there.
Right.
And depending on the condition, again, you said
Exactly.
some
If
are
they're
life-threatening and the prognosis may not be too good.
Right.
You want to try to get that done as soon as you can.
Yeah, or maybe they want to wait till treatment's completely done as something a goal to look forward to. And so as soon as I'm done with my treatment, then I'll go on my wish. Ring that bell. A lot of the hospitals, especially the pediatric hospitals, have the bell. Ring the bell
We
when
have
you're
it for our
done.
radiation
Yeah.
department. Let's talk a little bit about volunteering for Make-A-Wish.
Yeah.
What are some of the opportunities that people can do to volunteer and help out?
So, we talked about wish creators, and that may not be for everyone, and that's okay. We always need volunteers to help at events. We do a number of big public events, and Highwood's a little far from here, but the Highwood Pumpkin Fest every year is a huge event. Sponsored by Highwood, run by Highwood, but we supply about 150 volunteers to support that event. There's a great gymnastics club up here called Ultimate Gymnastics, and they do a tournament every year. I'm not sure where it was. Used to be at Harper College. They're in Gurnee, but I think they used to do the thing at Harper College, maybe in Crystal Lake. Yeah. And they always need several dozen volunteers. So there's so many things to get involved in. There's a great group around here called A Million Dreams. A Million Dreams is a wish family that does fundraisers for Make-A-Wish. And they're having a gala here in McHenry in May.
Oh, no kidding.
So,
make sure we get the information on
so
that.
that would be a
Maybe
great,
have somebody on from that. We'd love to.
that would be a great group to connect with. But, there's so many things that you can do. Our entire board of directors are volunteers. We have volunteers. Not so many come into the office, but we do have several walk events throughout the year, and we need volunteers to those as well.
Yeah, I wanted to just talk about those. I know I've got a list here of some of the walks that you do. I see 4 of them coming up this year.
Yeah.
Rockford, Champaign, Chicago, and Bussey Woods out in near Schaumburg area.
So what are we between Rockford and Bussey Woods about, right?
Yeah. Kind of.
So you can go either way.
Yeah.
So if you feel like going in April, head out to Rockford.
That's right. Yeah.
Or you can wait until October and see us in Bussey Woods.
How long are the walks? What are they, like 5Ks?
Oh
or?
gosh, no. They're about a mile. It's more of a festival.
5K. Robbie,
I'm sorry.
It is. They're really fun. They are the largest events where we have the most Wish alumni come back every year.
Walks?
Yeah. Wish alumni come back, and a lot of them start teams, and they come back every year. And then the communities just support us, and there's some corporate teams and some neighborhood teams, and so it's really fun. It's more of a festival. We do have a mile walk.
Yeah.
That
somebody actually wants to walk.
Yeah, and it's great, and it's completely accessible because we have kids in strollers and wheelchairs. Yes. So it's really fun.
It's like the cancer walks that I go to. I'll invite friends and family that are like, cancer walk. I'm like, you'll have more fun at that cancer walk than you will anything else, because the joy of life when you're threatened with a critical condition, like you said, a critical illness, whether it's cancer or anything else, makes you appreciate life more, each day more. So people that go to these kind of walks and stuff have a love of life.
Yeah.
That you may not, and it's in you just may not realize until you come to one of the walks.
And we celebrate wishes. Yes. People remember, they come back and they remember, they relive their wish experience, and then they're helping to grant future wishes. So
we'll get these walks up on the site, but one April 25th on a Saturday, Rockford, to Rock Valley College. There's another one in Champaign at Hessel Park, Saturday, May 2nd. There's another one in Chicago, Montrose Harbor, Sunday, June 7th, and one in suburban Chicago, Bussey Woods, which is out by Schaumburg, Woodfield area. And that's October 4th on a Sunday. So, and you'll see any of these on Make-A-Wish's site that you can go to. If they want to go and check out Make-A-Wish, what site should they go to check that out?
Visit us at illinois.wish.org.
Illinois.wish.org is what you want to go to. That's where I got a lot of this information that I saw today. So any of this information we talked about, you'll be able to look up yourself on this site that she just gave us.
Yeah.
Very, very informative. I was really happy with everything. I've gone on sites before for different organizations, and sometimes it's very difficult to squeeze the information out of that. And Make-A-Wish has just about anything you want to ask or know about them is on their site. So make sure you go to that.
I appreciate that since I run the site.
I loved it. Everything I wanted to look for was right there. So
good.
Yeah.
And I do encourage your listeners to visit us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. at Wish Illinois on any of your favorite social media
Yeah,
sites.
Facebook site yet for Make-A-Wish?
Yeah, Make-A-Wish Illinois.
On Facebook.
Yeah,
Okay, cool. Might have mentioned that. I just didn't.
that's okay. We're pretty active there, and we love to hear from folks.
I was asking you beforehand, had you ever dealt with anything and personally, because a lot of times people want to know, the guests that we have on, have they dealt with cancer? What brought them to this realm? And yours deals with a lot of critical illnesses. And I loved your answer, which was that you had not had any personal experience with family or very close friends who have gone through it. And we do not hear that very often. So that was anytime we hear that, I love to tell people about it because we don't hear it enough. I want to hear that all the time, and I just don't get the opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
And like you said, with just that 700 that you take care of a year, about half of those at least are cancer.
That's true. Yeah.
And if you don't know anybody who's had a child with cancer, I'm telling you, all of us who have dealt with it as an adult know how difficult it can be. So just imagine how hard it is on that child and that family. We know how hard it is on our families when it's an adult that has it.
Right.
So you can just imagine when a child has it. And this is just a wonderful, wonderful program that everybody should take a look at. If you're involved in cancer in any way, whether as an adult or somebody that you know, please take a look at Make-A-Wish and get involved with it in one way or another. Any way we can to make somebody else's life a little easier in this, we want to promote and tell you about and hopefully get you involved in it. Because just like with Make-A-Wish, when you get involved and you help somebody else dealing with this, it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
It gives you hope that what I had to go through is benefiting somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah. So
Exactly.
please consider volunteering with Make-A-Wish
We'd
in
appreciate
some
it.
form.
Yeah.
So
And our families will. And it's people think of Make-A-Wish as this big national organization, and we are. We're fortunate to have that brand recognition, but we are in your neighborhoods. The people that we're helping are kids that might be in class with your kid
Yeah.
or your neighbor or someone at your church. And so volunteers in the community are so important because we are very local. We started as a grassroots organization and continue as much as we can to this day.
well, a lot of organizations help out financially and things like that, and everybody benefits. But something like this goes directly to the heart of that child and what that child wants, which is very specific. I don't think too many organizations are doing anything that specific as much as Make-A-Wish Illinois is. Make-A-Wish, and you said it's not that every state has it. It's national and international organization. Some organizations may cover a few states because just the amount of people that are there or not there, as opposed to like Chicago where you got a big audience.
Yeah.
Um,
But I've been all the way down to Carbondale and
yeah.
Cairo
Anywhere
as
in
well,
Illinois.
anywhere in Illinois. Yeah.
And that 700 that you help families a year, those are all in Illinois?
Those are all in Illinois.
Just Illinois?
Yeah,
Wow. And you said there's about 1,200 that qualify,
that's
that
it.
you know that have the potential to qualify because of
Right.
the critical condition that they have?
And we arrive at that number. We take, the incidence reports of diseases
Sure.
that would likely qualify
Mhm.
against population numbers, and that's how we figure what
Yeah.
our intended population might be. And our goal always is to reach every kid who could have a wish because we feel it's really important.
Got a couple of questions for what got you involved in this? What was it? School? It had to be something that drives. I've noticed that there's something that drives people to do things like this instead of just going into the corporate world.
Yeah. So I blame my parents for sending me to Catholic school. I went to a private school with the nuns for elementary and high school, and it was a tradition of service in my family.
Okay.
And so we were always involved in our church and our school, and my mother volunteered and my father volunteered, and so that's kind of how it got started. And yeah, I've worked for
Yeah.
nonprofits ever since.
So that's what you wanted to do anyway, was work for nonprofits.
Well, I wanted to do, I originally wanted to be a reporter, and I was like, oh, I don't think that's quite right for me. So I kind of went to the other side and did some PR. And I tried to sell coffee filters and grocery bags, and it just didn't work for me. So I was like, I better go back to what I know. And
volunteerism. We talk about it all
community
the time.
service is
Yes,
important to
how
us.
important it is to everybody and to communities to get out there and we don't want to rely just on the government to make everything okay. we want people to be involved and go out and make a difference in their communities, because the feeling you get is just immeasurable, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you help somebody like that.
Absolutely. And we have infected our son with the community service,
Good,
and
good.
he's a Boy Scout, and he has a little sign in his room, and I was like, yeah, that is our family motto: do a good turn every day.
Yeah. Another organization we had on said, be better.
Yeah.
Just try to be better each day and help somebody. I know when I volunteer up at the hospital, I'm not sitting home thinking about how much my hands hurt and my feet hurt from the neuropathy from treatment years ago. I'm too busy doing something for somebody else. You don't think about what you're going through yourself.
Right. You get caught up in it. You
Yes,
just want to make everyone's
yes.
life a little better, a little easier.
Absolutely. We want to say hi to Rachel Sellers, who joined us a few minutes ago. Hello, honey. How are
I'm
you?
Miss Rachel. We're keeping it in line today.
Yeah. So, do you guys watch ESPN ever?
Yeah.
I do on occasion. It's been a while.
Yeah. We have been working with them for the last several years on a series called My Wish, where
Oh, I love it.
some really great professional athletes will let us film when they're granting wishes with
Okay.
our kids. And so, if you haven't had a chance, it's a different demographic than we're used to. We're
Yeah.
typically, I feel like, we're typically talking to moms of kids, but when we got this partnership with ESPN and we're working with My Wish, we got a whole lot of new folks interested in Make-A-Wish and all of the sporting things that are going on, and
Sure.
how many athletes are really involved in granting wishes. There were 19 kids at the Super Bowl on Sunday having their wishes granted
From Make-A-Wish?
from Make-A-Wish,
Oh, that's good.
from all over the country, and one from Canada. So they had an incredible experience. We've worked with the NFL for a long time, and we are excited to be hosting the NBA All-Star Game here in Chicago
Oh, I didn't know
in a
that.
couple of weeks. We'll be hosting, I think, 6 kids from around the country
No
here,
kidding.
including one from Illinois. So, and we'll be granting their wishes there.
Very
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Very
So
nice.
any donations you can give, whether it's time or money, making a big difference in children's lives and their families, not just those kids. As we know, just like any of those illnesses like cancer or a family disease, one person, the child may have it, but the whole family's affected by it. And so this isn't just for the kids in that family. This is for that whole family to get a little reprieve from the illness that they're dealing with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
Go to bed with it, get up with it. All of you out there, cancer fighting world, know what we're talking about and how difficult it is to get through the day sometimes. And just how magical this must be to some of those kids.
Yeah.
And I love that I didn't know the fact before, that how much, I just didn't think of it, how much it inspires them to keep fighting. To know that if I can get done with this, to kind of use it as an incentive to keep that child focused on doing the treatments. Because like I said, I know how hard it was for me to just go to that hospital sometimes, just hating going up there, knowing what was going to be done. So I can only imagine how hard it would be for a child to go through that daily, weekly basis.
Yeah, we
And,
like to remind them that anything is possible.
Yes.
However, whatever their crazy wish is, we are going to try and make it happen.
That's
And
just
so
amazing.
anything is possible.
Anything is possible. That's right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. We'll make sure we get all these sites up for you and the links that that Jessica was talking about. How long you said? Did we ask you how many? You might have told us off camera. How long you've been working with them?
17 years I've been
17
with
years.
Make-A-Wish. Yeah.
Man, you're just gonna make that a career and be done with it after
Well,
that?
every year is a little different. We've grown a lot since I
Yeah.
started. When I started with Make-A-Wish, we were Make-A-Wish of Northern Illinois. So we were just serving the northern portion, and through some reorganizations, we started covering the entire state. Every year it's a little different, and I still find the work exciting. Every time I meet a family,
Oh,
I'm
sure.
re-inspired to get involved. I was at an event last week where this really incredible kid spoke. He's from the North Shore. His wish was to meet the New York Giants, and he went last October to meet them and charmed them all completely. And the coach let him do the practice break, like the
Yeah.
pep talk. And so he was out there and he was, screaming and
How
yelling. And
old was the kid?
10.
10. Wow.
And so I talked with his family, and they were just quite incredible. And they said, all of these great things. And he is still super high on that experience. Like, and when he was talking about it the other night, you could feel the energy from
Yeah.
him. And he's like, whenever you guys need me to talk,
You know what?
I'm out."
Oh, he's ready. He's willing.
He's
to-
ready to
He's
go.
kind of digging that. You know, the maturity some of these children show when
Yes.
they're going through something like this really humbles you.
They are beyond their years. They have to grow
Yes.
up too soon.
Yes.
And we do like to remind them about their childhood.
They're still kids.
Yeah, the curiosity, the imagination, the possibilities.
And you said it can go anywhere from the time they apply to the actual event. It can be anywhere from a few days to a few months to 6 months.
Yeah, 6 months.
Depending on when the event is that they want to attend
Yeah.
or things like that.
Yeah, 6 to 12 months is about the average time it takes to grant a wish, but we can do it sooner for medical reasons if
Depending
necessary.
on the situation.
Yeah, but we do, once referred, we do try and grant that wish within 2 years. Some kids have to go on medical holds for, maybe they have
Can't have
a
to
complication or
sure,
something.
or rebuild their strength, or
Yeah,
'cause it can wear you out pretty bad when you go through these treatments,
Right.
Especially with cancer, something like that. And if 50% of the kids that you deal with are dealing with cancer, you said that's your biggest.
Yeah.
That's probably your most prolific chronic illness that you deal with, is cancer.
yeah. Most of the kids have cancer, and we do work with all of the pediatric hospitals in Illinois. We are in contact with them pretty
Mhm.
constantly, visiting them quite regularly to make sure that their staff is aware of this service for
Yeah.
their patients and benefits for their patients, but also to answer any questions they have. And so,
So I imagine you're always reaching out to hospitals,
yeah.
like you said, to see if there's any kids that maybe we're missing here that we could help.
Yeah, I mean, we are in contact with the departments where we know kids will qualify, and yeah,
Are you trying to work with more hospitals to get them to come on board to, even if they don't go through Make-A-Wish, but maybe to come up with a program themselves that offers, like you said, as an incentive to these kids to get through this? Is that on the horizon, to maybe work with more hospitals, children's hospitals, to see if they'll bring Make-A-Wish into them, or at least try to start a program, something similar to it, to where
so like I said, we cover the entire country
Yeah.
and are worldwide. So we're just trying to educate folks that we're there to serve their patients.
Yeah.
And not just hospitals, but we work with the School Nurses Association, reaching out to
Oh, yeah,
them, and like all of the different medical associations and disease organizations where a lot of information is shared. I think you mentioned you had participated in an event with Cancer Society.
Yes,
And
yeah.
so there are a number of those types of
Yep.
things for pediatric
Yes,
patients
yes.
as well, and different diseases. And so we do try and work with them and offer our services. We do hospital parties pretty
Sure, yeah.
often. We
get
often,
the exposure that way.
to meet family and also to provide a break for the kids who are in the hospital. It's nice to have just a random Thursday, have a party.
Yeah. Well, I know at the
In the
hospital-
common room where the kids can
Sure.
get out of their rooms. And-
Yeah.
Or
just
there's
like-
a clinic where
just-
kids are waiting around for whatever infusions and whatnot. Yeah.
Just like the programs we have at the hospital, but it's all adults, but same thing. Like you said, you don't want them sitting in a room going, boy, I feel terrible.
Yeah.
Show a movie one day, do crafts one day, do karaoke one day, something to get them out of that room and laughing and smiling, forgetting about stupid pain and cancer for a
Yeah.
while.
Because we consider that part of the wish journey. It's all of a piece.
I want to mention real quick, the program service expense ratio, fiscal year 2019, was 77%. That means 77% of the money that they raised was going directly back to patient services or to the patients for these WISH programs that they wished for, which is a pretty high rate. I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that. If you are donating, you can be assured that 75 to 80% of your money is going directly to those families, basically, in either services or, as you said, sometimes do you ever make cash donations instead of doing things or going somewhere?
No.
It has to be something that involves the whole family.
Well, we try and involve the whole
Yeah,
family
yeah.
as much as we can.
Right.
We do have some kind of parameters around that, but for example, mom, dad, and 2 kids live in a home, then
Yeah,
they'll all
right,
be a part
sure.
of it. But we don't give cash gifts. We have paid for semesters of college if a kid wanted an education.
wanted
So
to
we
do.
we call them education wishes, and we apportion out what we can. and provide that to some of our older teens are looking forward, and we think that's
Sure.
fabulous
Yeah.
because
Yes, if
they're
they wanna
like,
go to-
this is not stopping me. I'm moving on.
Making plans.
Yeah, making plans for the future.
I think that's wonderful. It just opens up so much more to these children. Just that hope, like
Yeah.
you said, that, you know, if I can just get through this, we can do this thing. We can go on this trip. I can meet this person. I can do this thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
Very
And
nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. And we are, believe it or not, we have hit the end of our time.
How is that possible?
But yeah, that's what people say. We want to thank you for being here, Jessica.
Yes.
I
Oh,
think
it's my
you've given us
pleasure.
a very good education,
yes.
and we'll have some links put up here. I've already put up 1 or 2 of them. So if you're out there and you're watching this, you know, keep these things in mind. If you know somebody in your family, in the neighborhood, that could stand something to cheer them up because the child is very sick, or if you're somebody who says, you know, I don't know how I can help, but I want to. Well, there's plenty of ways. We've discussed several of them.
Yeah,
So-
we offer a weekly webinar to
Oh,
find out ways to help.
Absolutely.
Just go to the website and you can find the next one.
Very
That
good.
was, give it to us again.
Illinois.wish.org.
We've already put that up.
Okay,
So
good,
click on
good.
that link, folks, and give them some help. That's what we do here. We're about helping.
You know, a lot of times adults go through the cancer, but they want to do something, and you want to help kids.
Exactly.
We don't treat kids at our hospital because that's a whole different ballgame, treating children instead of adults with cancer.
Right.
And if that's something that you want to do to help some children through this, Make-A-Wish is a great opportunity for you to do that and actually make a difference other than just cash donation to that. That's great, but usually people end up taking that and paying bills and things, and they don't really get an opportunity to do anything different.
Yeah. Think about the experience. That's
Yes.
that's really the point.
Make-A-Wish is a great way to give that child not just your donation, but an experience besides just your donation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So once again, I want to thank everybody for joining us. Jessica, one more time, thank you so much for
Thanks,
being
gentlemen.
with us today.
Oh, no problem.
Robbie, as usual, well put together, sir.
Thank you.
And we will see you all next week. And the reason is because we're not done yet.
Not done yet.
Take care, folks.
Bye. Let's count this down. And we're out. Almost. I think so. So, who knows anything yet? I want to make sure we're out here.